Hello there, people. Athletics LLC. Wednesday night for us, Friday night for you. Hopefully that if I get to show up on time Friday night for you. But either way, welcome to another fun week of interesting track facts, as you guys all put it on our comment section last week. We will be missing the governor this week. He is traveling out in Peru, so just U20ing out there. And then Sir Lucius is taking a well-deserved vacation. So, not going to be
Indeed.
too bad about that one. So, but nonetheless, you've got us three here. Clyde, how are you tonight, sir?
Well, trying to shuffle through the chaos of return to school, which is always fun. But I'm good.
Nice, nice. Gotta love clearances. Who hasn't filled out forms? Who's done this? Coach, I have a hold. And like, dude, take care of it.
The whole hold thing. I'm so over that.
Right.
Shit. Don't come in here with that conversation again.
Coach, Coach, I have a hold. Oh, that's the best.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is you didn't do something that you were supposed to do.
Right, but we gotta find it.
Right.
Up to 35. How are you today?
I'm good. This is always the weirdest time of the year for me because everybody else has ended the season and kind of starting anew, and this season isn't even over for me yet. So I still got another 2.5 weeks until the 2024 season is over. So, but things are good. Things are good. Looking forward to the finish of this season. To be honest, I think some really good things are still afoot. There's still some good track to be had. So let's talk about it.
Seriously, literally a great segue into the event that's going on right now. The U20 Championships, World Championships in Lima, Peru. We spoke about it. Governor's over there right now, but the meet being on day two, there's been some good stuff. I mean, let's just hold on. I'm just going to say this part out loud. I feel like 85% of that population looks like they're 30. First off.
Listen,
First off.
we don't need to get into the U20 conspiracy theories.
Oh my
Off the
God.
bat. We don't need to do that.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
No, we don't. Well, no, we don't.
Have you watched the distance races?
Sir, we all watched what we watched. Listen, it's U20s. It's World Athletics. Everything is sanctioned. They tell us it's all verified with passports and proper things. So it doesn't matter if country X, Y, and Z so happen to have people that look like they're closer to retirement than teenage years. That doesn't matter. What matters is the performances are awesome, and everybody there, no one there, will turn 20 years old before Christmas. Mm-hmm. So you accept the births as they are until you see otherwise. And listen, because it's me, we can get into all the wonderful and interesting things we've seen, but I have a question that I think y'all two might be able to, answer for your boy. U20s has relays, and Team USA did not contest the mixed relay. Why is that? What? Why are? No, we don't want that medal. We only want that medal at the Olympics and Worlds. We don't want it at U20s.
I'll just say this. What has been even more entertaining than what is, we'll say, the reason, what's been more entertaining is listening to the announcers make excuses for the United States and why they are not running, and trying to make some diabolical science out of it. And because the schedule is brutal, right? They ran 2 rounds yesterday of the mixed relay, and then came back today and ran not 1 but 2 rounds of the Open 400. So it's been entertaining watching people make excuses for the United States that are just simply not true.
So we are here to deal in truth and facts, sir. So give y'all recently worked for Team USA. Give us the facts of the matter.
The facts of the matter is that I think in theory, somebody's going to try to throw the managers under the bus, and the managers had nothing to do with it. The national office does the entries for global championships, and there was an entry missing.
So
all
what
I-
you're
all I know.
saying, what you're saying is Team USA forgot to enter the mixed relay?
I don't know this to be factual. I know that someone on the ground there, not on staff, relayed that information to myself, yourself, those in our current group. That's all I'm
We're
going to
not
say.
in, we're not in the huddle, so we don't know what the play
Exactly.
is.
That's
So
why
we
I've been very
can't
specific.
say.
We're gonna pull that quote out today.
I
So there's
have
a
We
been
play.
very
There's a
specific
play
gotta.
that
in my
involves us not
words.
pursuing the mixed relay.
No, not saying that there's a
Someone-
play. We don't know what
Someone
happened.
there who is not on staff relayed the information that perhaps it is believed that USATF folk forgot to enter the relay. We don't know this to be true, just so I want to make sure I got all my disclaimers set up. I have not, nor has anybody on this panel been told that by anybody on staff. Just saying that is the what is the saying? That is the proverbial word on the street. If that is true, which is what I know you want to get into, so let's get into that.
Yes.
If we were to assume that that piece of information is true, it is dumbfounding how you can put young people on a plane and their parents to Peru to watch them run in a relay that didn't get entered. And also mind-boggling how we have not one but two national relay coaches / coordinators who get paid a full-time salary to manage 5 relays per global championship. I mean, we can all count to 5.
Wait, but why does that matter onto the entry?
Well, because I would think if I only had 5 events to be concerned with at the global championship, I would probably ask early as possible and often as possible, are we entered? Not saying it's their fault, right? Because I definitely don't believe that either one of them is neither Mike nor it's not their job to
They don't do
enter
the
them.
entries.
They don't do the entries. But I would think before we got to a deadline, a question would be asked. Maybe not. I mean, maybe I am within my own brain, but
so here's why I find this very, very interesting, and I would really like. There's a bunch of different attitudes, if you will, about U20s in this country, but let's be clear: it is a global championship.
It's the Olympics under 20 years old. That's
right. Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. The Olympics for people who are not yet 20 years old.
Yes.
And so, if we're going to attend, for my money, we should attend and take it seriously because we're going all the way to wherever and spending the resources wherever to participate in a global championship as Team USA should do. So we should be putting our best foot forward. There's only
I
two
mean,
things.
not to mention that it really and truly is the greatest predictor for what's going to happen in the future.
Well, 100%, which is personally why I love the meet so much. But there's only one of two explanations, unless one of you very, very highly intelligent people can give me a third option. Either we forgot to enter the mixed relay, or we strategically chose not to enter the mixed relay. Either way, that should be explained publicly before the guns go off in the competition. That's
Okay,
my
I'm just going to ask why. Why does it have to be explained? And
be,
this is a straight curiosity.
for all the reasons that were hinted at beforehand by up to 35. Because if we are strategically choosing not to run, then there shouldn't be anybody on the ground thinking that they were going to run that event.
So then that's my follow-up question. Do we know that there are people who are expected to? I don't know who's on the roster. Like
that is, as he put it, word on the street. If you are strategically choosing not to participate in this event, then I would say that the people who care about Team USA track and field, from athletes who are trying out for the team, to parents who are involved, to coaches who are involved, to fans, should understand why we are choosing not to go after a gold medal in an event where, if we're not the favorites to get the gold, we're absolutely a favorite to be on the podium. Like, why
would say
we
we got to be a bigger favorite at the junior level than we are even at the senior level, because like, we always have more quarter milers than every other country, but at the youth level, at the sub 21-year-old level, that number might be 10 times more than everybody else.
Right.
Like, we literally might have 10 times more quarter milers than the rest of the world at age 18, 19.
For sure. And Big League, to be clear, if it was a strategic choice, like let's say hypothetically that it's, hey, we didn't have a big contingency of athletes coming to US U20 trials to try out, and therefore we are going to chalk the mixed relay. Cool. Say that.
Just say that.
Will it begat the next question? Obviously, which is, well, the attendance at USA U20s was probably down because you people said for months there will be no team, and then changed your mind at the last minute and didn't necessarily help people show up to the trials. So again, you got to get into answering these questions. But if it's a choice not to contest that medal, then just say so. So when people turn on the thing, we're like, yo, hold on, what do you mean we're not even entering the event? Like, what do you mean?
So I'm looking at the entry list right now. In the open quarter, we only had one entry.
Cool. So again,
two. I lied.
No, it's two.
It's two.
So just say that. What I absolutely don't want to hear is the schedule's too tight, because everybody else is doing it. Like, all the other countries' quarter milers are running the open quarter and running the mixed relay or contesting the 4x4. Like, everybody else is doing it. So I don't want to hear we lack depth. You know what I mean? Like, if it was strategically chosen, then say that. If it wasn't, and it was actually an entry error, then I want to know who. That's just me. Like, I want to know whose job that is, because that's wild.
It is. And the unfortunate part is we probably can speculate until we're blue in the face on all the most nefarious things on the planet. We'll probably never get true public confirmation.
Right.
But, at some point in time, we'll get the truth. We always do. We got a staff full of bloodhounds around here. So, on a more interesting note to me, if we're gonna dive into U20s, as we've stated earlier, it's the best. It's not the only, but it's the best predictor for what's coming and what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So to that end, the U20 100-meter finals happened, men's and women's, and there was not an American in either.
Crazy.
And that is crazy. As a matter of fact, I think that the women's championship might be the first thing that Jamaica has won on the track this summer.
Well, you know what's really interesting about that particular dynamic? Yeah, I mean it is if you're a nerd and you study our sport, U20s being a predictor of things to come is absolutely like it's there.
Yeah, 100%.
You look at it, so many hundreds of examples from prior generations and years to come. For example, we got introduced to Tobago at World Juniors a few years ago. Like, that's
I got a better one for you. At World Juniors, Carson Warholm did the decathlon.
Yep.
And the 400 hurdles, which should have told us all right then that he was a psychopath.
Yes, indeed. However, I am willing to grant the athletes a pass on this issue. I don't know how this meet ultimately will end, but because Team USA from December until very late in the spring had stated publicly there will be no U20 team, no U20 roster, I don't think that the roster that is there is indicative of what we could have sent.
Well, I mean, that's obvious, right? Like Quincy Wilson never even considered going.
Sure. So
like just as an example.
No, absolutely. But everybody else in the world has been taking it seriously and has sent, their top people. So I would say give the Americans a pass. And I'm not saying that because I'm an American. I'm saying that just because of the factual reality of how this team was put together. Give the Americans a pass. But everything else you're looking at out there, remember those names and get ready, because there's some real situations going on out there.
Yeah, like your boy Van Dalen that won the shot put. Write it down. In the future, that guy will win a global medal in the shot. He's the real deal.
I mean, it was a junior implement, but he was throwing that thing really far and really well. So,
yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, it translates. Like the one thing I'll say this, the Europeans do a few things in our sport better than ours, but I will tell you this for sure. They handle the developmental years far better than we do as it pertains to the implements, because they do, coming up, like they throw, I forget what they throw before the 6K, but then at this age, they throw the 6K, which is a better transition to the 726, which is the 16, right? Well, we throw at 12 pounds. So we throw a shot lighter than the 6K, and we throw it all the way through high school through 18. And then freshman year, they get sent into college and they throw the 16, which is heavier than the 6K. But then at juniors, they're supposed to compete in the 6K. So like at the end of the day, like, usually at the end of the year, somebody's got to find junior implements for these college freshmen to use and for these high school seniors to use. And neither one of them make any sense. One is 3 pounds to 3 pounds light, and the other one is, it's a pound 1.2 pounds heavy. But so the developmental parts from the field events perspective, like involved implements, they do a better job than we do, which is not a shocker. But it's just, winning is a learned trait, right? And if someone is preparing you for the championship part of the season at at U18s and under 20s and then under 23s, by the time you make it to the senior level global stage, you at least get what you're supposed to be doing, right? Most of our people, the first time they see a call room is like the senior level world championships. So like, what is this?
Yeah.
And so like that part is very different. But from the internationals, what you're seeing, trust me, most of the international stars you see in this meet you will see again as they go forward. Most of them. If they make a final at U20s, they're probably at some point in time going to make a final at senior nationals. I mean, at a senior championship. Like I remember Nadine Visser when she was a U20 heptathlete, and and so on and so on and so on. Nafi TM, like that whole crew. At one point, I remember them being juniors and being top 8 in the world.
We could jump around to some obvious things. I have been very impressed with the South African male sprinters and the Japanese male sprinters.
Is anybody paying attention to the Botswana what's it called, assembly line they got going?
Hey man, Botswana's a whole problem.
Listen, Botswana's a whole problem. And again, I think I said this maybe in year 1. If we worked as hard at developing medals as other countries do, we would win all the medals. But we don't. We just show up with whoever is the best that year. And that developmental piece matters. It for sure matters. That's why Botswana's run the second fastest 4x4, or I guess now the third fastest men's 4x4 in history, with Teboho. We also learned that this week. His last name is pronounced Teboho, not Tebogo. Right. But with Teboho and the Pips, right? None of us know who the 3 Pips are. And they're okay with that. Like they've been developing in the weeds, like for their moment at the Olympics where they won a silver medal.
But it's because every other country but ours will compete for the pride of the country and the title of the country, not for the individual name.
Yeah.
And the coaching goes along that way as well. The coaches are working for the pride of the country and knowing that they're a national coach, as opposed to each individual coach looking to find their ticket to glory and being the who's who of Facebook and Instagram when they post it.
Chewy said a mouthful of air, I tell you that.
Somebody better get out a notepad and write that part down.
I mean, it's so I think I'm becoming more sensitive to it just because now I am finally like getting the experiences of that international coaching piece and seeing what it looks like when I see the national team's coaches, and there isn't bashing. There isn't any collisions happening. Like whether they like each other or not, it's not apparent to anybody from the outside looking in. You don't see any strife. You don't see any stresses. You see them trying to win for their country. Where, unfortunately, we have so many solos for Team USA at this point. You don't really realize, like, I think some of them, not all of them, meaning Team USA athletes, are saying this. I do it for my country, and I like for the letters on my chest, and this, that, and the third. But overall, everyone's doing it for the medal for themselves. And where we get these, for whatever reason, this is a season of silos. You get all of these silos happening where we have nothing to be prideful about, essentially, at the end. Like every other country is looking at us like, oh, I want to be a USA sprinter. Like that's not really a thing. You have people who sprint for themselves, who happen to wear a USA kit. That's what it seems like, representing a different country and then watching the different countries operate.
Yeah, I mean, like our team gets assembled. They always talk about in basketball, but our team gets assembled, a month before the games. They give the same jersey to the all-star team and be like, all right, go win team. And most other countries, it's 2, 3, sometimes 4-year project to get to that point, right? Like there are definitely countries right now beginning prep work for LA 28.
Yes.
I mean, it's starting in Lima.
And our LA 28 like run up will start in May of 28. We'll take an assessment of who's hot, who's healthy, and who we pray makes the team. And that's just the difference. It's just the difference. And if you're trying to develop medals, I know which way is better, but it's hard to get people to listen to you about how you need to change things when you just won the most medals and the most gold medals, right? Like, people don't listen to you when they're full of prosperity.
Well,
Well,
okay, go ahead.
No,
All I
no,
was gonna say is, like, that's why they always say, like, you learn way more from your failures than you do from your successes. Like, this is a perfect example of that, right? I'm hoping USATF is open to making changes and advancements to our system and the way we do things in a number of ways, because that 34 medals or so I think we won could become 50
Well,
in
so
LA.
I hear what you're saying in that organizational piece. Sorry, I've completely put us on a tangent. I apologize. But I think it's a middle step below that, and it goes down to the NCAA system and even to the high school system at this point. In regards to understanding the piece, Brooks talks about it. You've said it a couple of times in regards to not milking the athlete for what they're worth right now, as opposed to developing them to pass them along. Right? Like,
Yeah.
we're seeing in the high school systems now where they're doing workouts that the collegiate age athletes are doing. And so by the time they get to the collegiate age, they're already partway through to their career or done with their career because they can't reproduce it for another 4 years. And then instead of just passing them along, help them develop, pass them along, help them develop, pass them along. And, we always talk about how other countries other than ours develop their youth so that they have the longevity piece. Like, we always praise them or talk about it, and it's like, well, we don't even try to give them a longevity piece, because each coach that gets the fingers around them squeezes for all the juice they can get for that juice, and then says, here, go take the Ryan and find some
Yeah.
more juice and squeeze it even more. If so, not putting it so much on USATF, it is partially of it, right? Like, they have the organizational pieces, but if the coaching pieces of the youth pushing them upward, we'll just pass them along.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but that dynamic to me isn't a organizational issue with the USATF. That is, like you said before, that is coaches, trainers, whatever you want to call them, trying to get themselves put on. And therefore, how do you do that? You develop the next superstar kid that crashes the party, does amazing things at U20s, and then maybe somebody important at a level above where you are will notice you or offer you a package deal or get you, try to put you on. Like, that's just the selfish nature of individuals, right? I don't fault the kids for that. Kids want to be great at what they do, just like anybody else is trying to be, in a sport.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting that there's any particular solution to this dynamic. All I'm saying is, I guess from a United States perspective, for the U20s, to get us back on track.
Yeah. Sorry.
My watching the meet play out so far, I hate we're too good at what we do to do things half-assed. So either we should have done it
there.
Either we should have done it for real and taken it seriously, or stuck to the original nonsense of not doing it at all. But to be halfway in and look bad doing it, I don't know what the value is in that.
Yeah.
That's the part that bothers me about the issue. You know what I mean?
Well, so just because we talked about the quarter, I did look in the entries for the males and the females. The names of recognition from the USA contingent aren't horrible names, right?
No.
They're pretty good, and they're
Yeah.
top in the nation here. I think some of them just got beat. I think it's because of the time of year,
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, this isn't 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We can't just show up anymore, people. Like,
Yeah.
like the world is here now.
Mhm.
Like, pick your discipline. the world is not playing these games with us anymore.
Yeah, no.
And they may not be as deep as us, but the top is the top is the top. And if we don't take these same things seriously, there is plenty ways for us to be embarrassed on the global stage.
I
And
mean, we don't have a finalist. We didn't have a finalist in the men's one
right. And
or
so
Or
the
the
women's.
women's.
Or the women's.
right, men or women's. So to set the precedent that, you know, U30 up to 35 is pointing out is, I'll give this one a pass because we understand the reality of it, but don't get it twisted. 2 years from now, if we keep seeing this trend out, you're going to start seeing it play out at World Championships, and you're going to start seeing it play out at the Olympics. And last I checked, we're the ones who's next up for the Olympics. This is not the time where we want this.
Well, here's the craziest part, right? Like, I don't know if World Athletics did this on purpose or it just happened happenstantially. The next U20s is in Eugene.
Right.
Right? So, like, the next global championship for the youngsters is on home soil. And then the next Olympics is on home soil. So, like, at the end of the day, we're going to 100% know exactly who we are, what we are, and what we're about, and what our future looks like in the next 4 years.
Right.
Because
And
if our team in 2 years is not dominant at the world junior level, that's a problem.
And then that kind of coalesces my entire point of view on this whole issue. We should not be choosing when we want to give a shit about U20s. Because please believe, when it's coming to Oregon, we're going to be all in.
Yeah.
We're going to be all in for that one, right? They're going to go out of their way to make sure the trials go right, to get every possible talented person. No. Just because it's in Peru doesn't mean that we should be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And we should treat all of the U20s with the same level of respect and compete for it just as hard as we would anywhere else. I guarantee you, neither by choice or by accident will the mixed relay in Eugene for U20s not happen. Oh, it's going to happen. So whatever reason it didn't happen at this one, I'm not here for it.
Wait, so ADD moment. Wouldn't it be cool if the World 20s, wow, I just combined all those words.
Yes, you
World Athletics U20 Championship happened in the same proximity of the Olympics on that corresponding year. So you get what kind of like how we
like
have
in 24 if it was somewhere near LA?
28.
Yeah,
I mean in 28, geez. Yeah.
Or like
yeah,
on North American continent or something to that effect. Do you get what I'm saying?
I mean, I get it, but
that,
no, I personally, no, I wouldn't enjoy that. Me.
I think it would get overshown badly.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm thinking it from bottom up. Like if the athletes were like, kind of like Paris, right? You have the Olympics and you have the Paralympics and then the U20 meet. I don't know. It's just, that was an ADD moment. So I apologize.
It may be easier to manage from a operation standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
It may be that.
Just run it back.
I mean, just saying. I had another one, but I forgot. So never mind. Truly all over the place. Yeah, no, I just completely forgot.
But yeah, and
yeah,
it's it like I said, it's been interesting.
I wish we took U20s as seriously as we should. Like okay, in a 4-year span, right? If I'm running USATF, the most important team is the Olympic team at the end of 4. The next two would be the two, like, well, now we have world championships every year, but just hear me on that, right?
In its normal series.
Right. And it's normal. And what used to be like will be the 2 world championships at the senior level. The next most important meet after those 2 should not be Pan Ams or NACAC, or the next most important meet should be World Under 20s.
Absolutely.
So
both of those.
I do remember what I was going to say now. It applies to what you just said. So on the education piece, USATF has recognized that the unrecognizability of the 3 things, U20, U20s. And so we actually we voted and changed the education part of, you used to be able to take the level 2 youth class course. And now we've switched it to the level 2 U20s. And that way, those who are taking the courses actually can start recognizing what this means and what it actually means in its unfolding. And so above and beyond just the coaching piece of it, the education piece, we've already started on that part. And so I think it's going to take more, up to 35 said, and I had a conversation about this, not swaying the athletes, but really channeling and funneling the athletes that should be going to the U20 US meet, and those who can afford to just go to Nike outdoor champs or just go to Adidas outdoor champs, because that's appropriate for them. They can go earn that backpack.
Yeah. And I mean
and
that
the other ones can
now,
get a kit.
and now we're going way far down into the weeds, but to that point, think about that. In this country, generally speaking, people care more about going to New Balance Nationals or Nike Nationals than they do trying to make the U20 team. That is
know what it is.
completely backwards.
They had both meets simultaneously on the same track this year. Now, it was happenstantial that it happened, but it was blatantly obvious. Like, there were 14 young men in the decathlon for U20s, and there were 31 or something like that in the Nike National meet. Right? Like, it's the same meet, like it on the same 2 days.
Yeah. So, you know, from a American organizational standpoint, USATF, I think, has enough weight, power, influence to get that issue corrected.
Yeah. And
like,
at the end of the day,
like,
like, if it's about a backpack, the backpack with the American flag on it is still cooler than this week's Nike National backpack.
But the coaches have to understand it, because the coaches want to say, I have the Nike outdoor champion.
Sure.
And they don't understand what it means for the US U20 champion.
Well, and again, so like we're all on the same page.
Yeah,
I'm
education
just,
piece.
You know,
I'm more speaking loudly to those who are clicking on the YouTube channel.
Touche.
Yeah,
Touche.
you know. So, anyways, sorry, I have completely lost the U20 championship.
Yeah, but it was good. Listen, that was a good divergence. We talked about some good things. What you got? What else you got?
Diamond League. Golly, I am tired. I can't think of anything straight and smooth right now.
But
Diamond
you know
League.
what? Here's the thing. I want to say this, like, in your defense. That's why I'm glad that World Athletics is finally writing. Now, listen, y'all know how I feel. There's a laundry list of things that are wrong with track and field. But I think World Athletics has at least addressed what I think is problem number one, right? Having a consistent season and having the season make sense. So this is the last year we will do exactly what we're doing, which is talk about Diamond League meets after the Olympics.
It's so stupid.
I mean,
it's so stupid. Like, I always say, imagine playing football games after the Super Bowl. Like, literally nobody would do it.
It's so dumb.
So, but this speaks to the resilience and the greatness of track and field athletes. I think there've been 5 world records broken in these 2 meets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And one of them
area records as well.
One of them, let's just be honest. If you know, and look, I know y'all don't think I'm a distance nerd, but I sort of am. If you know anything at all about Daniel Komen's record, like, bro, nobody thought that was going down anytime soon.
Yeah.
Right? Like the lights were not set up for a world record run. Let's just put it that way. They were set up for a meet record run.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Ingebrigtsen does his thing and others go with him. And he's like, yeah, that's not happening. And where he couldn't finish at that same level at the games, he finished this one and broke a world record. I'm telling you, nobody saw coming.
Well, I mean, listen, again, if you watch the show, you know I'm a huge fan of Ingebrigtsen. It is also well documented how ridiculously arrogant he is. Anytime other than that race when he crosses the finish line and does something phenomenal, he acts as if he's not surprised. He was completely shocked at what
Oh,
he
he was
ran.
shocked. He was
Completely
shocked.
shocked. Like mouth agape, like what just happened? And it's crazy because truth of the matter is, based on that race and just kind of who he's been as a professional, the 3,000 meter distance might be his perfect distance.
Yeah.
It's just not, I mean, he's excellent at the 5K. He's excellent at the 1,500, but he destroyed the world record at 3K. Like destroyed it.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, it was kind of crazy. What was not crazy was Mondo doing what Mondo does.
And look,
I asked somebody this question the other day, and this is a real question, right? Like, if you pole vault and you high jump, right, the bar has to be at a certain proximity to your PB to truly get your attention, right? Like, I'm only a 218 high jumper, but the bar had to be at 210 before I was like locked in. Everything before that was like, let me just go put something together and get over this and like get into the competition. The crazy part is I think that's where he's at with 6 meters.
Yeah.
oh, 100%.
Like I actually think the bar has to be to 6 meters before he's like, I should take off my sweats and like take this seriously.
Oh no, he's clearly bored. Like he's bored at 6 meters.
And that's so there are 13 people in the history of the world that have jumped 6 meters. 14 now, because the brother man German did it this past week too.
Yeah.
Right? 14 guys ever.
And that's actually, that was the craziest part about that competition is that was the best vaulting competition of the year.
There
Yeah.
was four people over 6 meters.
3 weeks late.
Three hit 6, and then Lightfoot was 592.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was
Like,
because it was Sam, because that's the first time Sam's made 6 meters in like 6 years.
Yeah, they
Yep.
did a while.
Yeah, season best, national record for Greece, right? The competition was dope. It's just like when the competition ended, Mondo was bored, and then he was like, "Here, if you didn't watch it, Mondo was so bored that after the Greek kid hit 6 meters and like, yo, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah, literally tapped
No more
out.
of that. I'm going out with my clearance.
Which I love that.
Right. Totally dope. Absolutely the right decision. Mondo is sitting there like, yeah, let Sam go try the American record. It's fine. They just went from 6 meters to 608 randomly just to let him get that off, and then we'll start the show. Like that's where we are.
Yeah. It's just so true. Like, you know, I've said this a bunch of times and y'all tease me from time to time, but I think it's starting to like set into everybody. Like, I think Mondo Duplantis is better at what he does than anybody else in the world is at what they do. I keep saying it, but it keeps looking that way, right? Like, okay, listen, Sergey Bubka was ridiculous, right? We all agree that like he dominated the sport in a way that's never been dominated, right? Mondo Duplantis now has the 10 highest jumps in history.
Right. Right.
Because after that, like Bubka has like 10 of the next 20. You know, like he's so far ahead of everybody else that it's not like he's like Katie Ledecky in pole vault.
I'll tell you something that has surprised me about the Diamond Leagues post Paris in a positive way. To see Tabo Ho still out there and caring enough to make sure that he's just taking these wins away from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, nothing that happens after the Olympics is bigger than the Olympics, but people, the fact that he's out there doing this and just taking the wins, and we all know Noah's not showing up for the rest of the year. He said that it's over. He shut it down. Like, this is just increasing the problem that Taboho is, because you don't want this dude to get to a point where he's looking at everybody else on the planet like, oh, they can't beat me at all unless I just don't want to run. And the only dude that can beat me, I dominated at the Olympics and hasn't won Olympic gold. Like, he's the Olympic gold medalist now. Like, you don't want that dude looking at this event that way. It's gonna be a problem moving forward.
Listen, I said this the other day in practice. Tabojo's going to be ranked number 1 in the world in the
Yes.
200.
Yes.
And that is going, like, when it happens, that is going to be mind-boggling and earth-shattering for Noah.
Yes.
Because when is the last time that happened? Noah was ranked number 1 in the world when he didn't win the Olympics.
That's true.
Because he won everything else.
Yeah, no, that's not going down.
I'm telling you right now. Look, listen, Tabojo has already cemented the number 1 world ranking in the 200. It's only going to get to be more cemented as we go.
100%.
Women's hurdles looked very nice.
So I am still very happy to see all the players in the women's sprint hurdles still out there doing what they do. And the women's sprint hurdles is such a ridiculous event and so gifted, and so many people are so good at it that, for example, the Diamond League final in Poland was, like, you could argue, now the results didn't bear that out, right? But was heavy, like harder, heavier weighted than the Olympic final was, because the Americans don't have to only have 3, right?
Yeah.
Like, you had 5 Americans in the field.
To your point, the Olympic champ didn't make the final.
Right.
Because in Poland they run rounds. She didn't make the final.
Well, no, she actually did. She was the last one in, though. Messiah ended up being the last one in. She made the final by the skin of her teeth. And then in the final, she got 4th. But to that point, the Olympic champion didn't win. I'm literally looking at it. But yeah.
Am I thinking of the other meet then?
Maybe the other meet.
Okay,
but
that's possible.
In Poland, in Silesia, however you say it.
Silesia, yeah.
Akira Nugent won.
Right.
And oddly, like, to a lesser degree about the point about Tabojo, Grace Stark continues
you're stealing it.
to run extremely well. Second place, 12:37. Damn all that, tired from college. She's like, yo, I'm here. I got my contract. We're going to ride this thing out. I'm going to get this money, and y'all going to have to see me. Y'all going to have to deal with me.
She's like, let me stock up real quick.
Grace Stark is here to stay, folks. She is here to stay. And if there's a stock you want to invest in that stock, because that young lady is different. Are you guys impressed overall with just like how healthy the sport is? Like, look, I'm just going to name names that aren't competing right now. Keishane Thompson. Yeah, that's his last name, right?
DNS.
Right? Noah Lyles.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Ryan Krauser he was in one of the meets, not the other. Right? But it's like, the reason I'm saying this
ain't running.
Sid at all, a thing Mo at all, right? But the reason I'm saying that is, like, the sport is so healthy. Like, I understand, I finally, like, will admit this out loud. I understand Noah's bad guy route, right? All press is good press. Fine, he's right. But the thing that I need the people who run the sport to get is how healthy the sport is. It's not like the NBA where it's only driven by the superstars, because we have people who aren't household names who are literally just as good. Like, nobody, we all know who Grace Stark is because of college, and she's here, right? But if you just started watching track, you'd think Grace Stark has been one of the best for years, because she was a finalist at the Olympics and she was second in both the last 2 Diamond League meets.
That's right.
Right? Like, the sport of track and field is the term is next man up, but next person up, probably more than any sport. You know, like we haven't seen Faith do anything yet after the Olympics. We know it's coming.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
right.
We assume that will.
I'm assuming Safan is, going to be done resting at some point and run maybe at Zurich or somewhere. It just like the sport is so healthy. There are so many great stories. There are so many great athletes that we really just should just push the product as a whole and not really just lock in on the superstars, because when you lock in on the superstars and Sha'Carri doesn't win, and then Noah gets COVID before the 200, like the two storylines you fed us all the way going up into the Olympics was, the world's fastest woman is going to win the 100 and the world's fastest man is going to win a triple and piss off all the quarter milers and trying to win 4 golds.
Yep.
Right. So even though great things happened, a lot of people kind of feel like it fell on its face because this is what y'all told us was going to happen and it didn't. But who cares? Because the rest of the sport is so healthy that like great things are happening.
You know what? We had no intention of getting into this, but you said that so well. I'm just going to throw this in there. For those who have not seen it, they released the principles
for Sprint 2.
And to that point, and we don't understand why. I'm sure there's some very interesting reason, but Sha'Carri won't be featured. So the original sprint, for at least from the women's side, was all about Sha'Carri's narrative. And now, post-Olympics, she's not even going to be featured in it at all, according to, what they're putting out.
What's been released, yeah.
Right. So to your point, that is, there will be a contingent of fans that are going to be pissed off, disappointed. Oh, what's the point of watching? But the fact of the matter is, it's actually a wonderful opportunity for you to meet and learn and engage with and understand the plights of all these other incredibly talented people who do not get the shine that they deserve, even though they may not be as popular in the social media space or have a PR that is at her caliber, right? There are so many interesting narratives and interesting people and interesting storylines that should be better followed and better presented. Because to your point, when you set a table with one specific thing and then oops, it doesn't go that way, right? It can breed, quote, disappointment from the fan base. And we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't set that table. We should tell the stories that are interesting across the board and then wait and see how it plays out.
And for those people who think that we're just bashing USA track and field, I want y'all to understand something. I think Jamaica is more guilty of this than we are.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Like
100%.
Jamaica is a country of sprinters, and they only tell you about their sprinting. But they have one of the better field event meets in the Olympics that any country's had.
Absolutely. The field events were the stars.
But I don't mean, what I'm saying is they didn't have a great field event meet for Jamaica.
No,
they had a
right.
great field event meet for any country.
Right.
Right? They had a great field event meet for all of the field event only countries in Europe.
Yeah.
And so, like, look, if there's a story I want to dive into, I want somebody to tell me about how this happened, is how did we get such great field eventers in a country that doesn't care about the field events?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Let's tell that story. Because I guarantee you that's interesting.
Absolutely.
We won't even discuss like the decathlon and all of the ridiculously interesting storylines that are going on in the combined events world, or how does NAFI TM is the perfect example of a tree falling in the forest and nobody sees it.
Yeah.
I mean, NAFI TM's won 3 straight Olympic gold medals, which Jackie never did.
And nobody knows, for real.
And nobody knows. Now, is NAFI better than Jackie? No, but she doesn't have to be. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, she's won 3 medals.
It's an incredible story. So has Faith, right? Like, tell these stories.
And
You
and
know,
and just to be clear, I'm not like sprint is about sprinters. So
right.
within the sprint realm, I like a diversity of narrative and a diversity of storytelling. And I want to learn about 10 people that I should care about. So when I watch the race, I'm invested in all of them. Right. And, Chewie will have her favorite and person two will have their favorite, but we should know all of these people. Right. And that's ultimately, since you have this platform, I think it's dope personally that we're going to get such a smorgasbord of people to cover. I'm actually surprised, to given how upset he was the first go around, that Fred's in the second one, right? But he's got some redemption there.
Well,
So
I can't wait for the whole world to meet Juju and see what a beautiful country St. Lucia is and all of that.
right.
So what I was going to say is when I noticed about the lineup is it seems as if they're focusing on the up and coming. If you kind of just look at the majority of it, right? So you have Hinchcliffe, you have Juju.
Well,
I'm looking for the picture right now.
it's interesting, right? There's no way to know, the details
Yeah.
that and the deals that are cut and the right. But what is apparent in so many ways, right? To the victor go the spoils, right? Like now, for example, for Hinchcliffe, he didn't win anything on the global stage, but he is the surprise NCAA champion who ran extremely well in Paris and comes from, very interesting beginnings out in the UK. A lot of people don't, I hope they get into this. A lot of people don't know he's basically self-coached
So I
prior to
take
the
that back.
NCAA.
So in that list of featured, he's not on it, but I know he was being followed. So sorry,
Yeah.
spoiled it for y'all. But
But you see what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
there's storylines there, right? So, whoever's in it and ultimately however they get featured, I just hope that they find clever and interesting ways to set a table based on things that we have now learned since the first one. And I think personally it's really cool that they got the rollout right before Olympics, and then we're going to get version 2 right after Olympics. That is at least Netflix attempting to be strategic in keeping the attention of the audience that they captured with the original. All
I
right.
think I'm most looking forward to the Tabojo
Oh,
storyline.
yeah. I mean, yes.
Here's what I'll say. For obvious reasons that we just laid out, who knew that Tabojo was so well spoken and such an interesting individual? Because in the last 2 weeks, I've learned so many things about him.
Yeah.
Including how to say his last name.
And to that point, because you're going to get some comments. You called the black kid well spoken. He didn't mean it that way. He's from a
Meh.
foreign country. He means with English.
I meant with English.
Right.
Yes.
And
because so often we try to paint people who are not American as if they don't speak English, and that young man speaks English very well.
right. And one of the post Olympics mini controversies, right, was his interview as the gold medalist, and they asked him obviously
Oh yeah.
about Noah, and so many people missed that he was actually complimenting Noah with what
Right.
he was not shooting at him.
Mm-mm.
Because guys, guess what? Words may be the same, but when you come from a completely different culture, they're not used the same way.
Mm-hmm.
He was not shooting at Noah. He was complimenting him.
Yeah,
And
because he's basically saying that Noah has a gift he doesn't have. Like he
right.
can run fast, but he can't carry the
Like
sport
I can't
like
be
that.
that guy. I
I
can't
can't
do
be that
those
guy.
things.
Right. I
Right.
don't have that.
Mm.
Yeah, write yourself down as now you've been educated as to what he meant.
Yes, and they've done a really good job about having Gabby be the spokesperson on these morning shows and afternoon shows and whatnot.
Well, listen, she earned that.
Yeah.
Like, and anybody claiming from an American perspective that it should be anyone other than her, you're just hater at this point. She 3 gold medals. She is the golden girl of the Paris Olympics. Get over it, get used to it, embrace it, because that's another person with incredible story, incredible background that you might want your daughters to follow an example of. And no one really was paying her any mind until she became the golden girl of Paris. So she's earned all of that. Yes, let the media rollout of Gabby Thomas continue and get bigger and get bigger and get bigger, because she earned it. I mean, you did it for Allison. So, and I will keep pointing this out because people still don't seem to get it. Her and Allison got the same amount of Olympic gold medals individually. Gabby got a faster PB. So if you love Allison, and we did it for Allison, do it for Gabby, because she earned it just like Allison did.
Oh yeah, and Gabby has a degree from Harvard and another degree from Texas,
which is not a bad thing, people. Some people are out there acting like that's some kind of negative thing on her resume. Yeah, that's not how that works.
She went to school and shit. Like,
she actually went to school.
Oh, anyway.
All right.
People.
Well, we've went over some stuff. That's good. But let's go over the stuff that, you know, I've been told from several different people that we've neglected this year. The coaching carousel. Because is it spinning.
Okay. I take contention with that statement. People, we don't ignore the coaching carousel. It's just there's a lot of situations where, because of the relationships some of us have, we find out things before they're actually public, and we would be unprofessional and disrespectful to put them out there before they happen. So like, if you watched the show last week, I almost made that mistake myself. And so I was literally like, hey, can I say this right now? I don't know if I can. But if we're going to get into coaching carousel, there's a lot of things in our sport that there are a lot of wrongs that happen in our profession. It is very rare that a wrong gets righted in our profession. And so I am super happy to be able to say this week that our boy, Lamont Johnson, is at Georgia State as the sprint coach, as he should have been the entire time. And so that is officially announced. Congratulations, my guy. He did a hell of a job last year and was building something very, very significant in that part of the world, within that conference, getting people qualified for, top 48 regionals and all of that. And I am very excited to see him be able to progress that moving forward, because he earned that. And so, congrats.
Go Panthers.
Congrats.
Did we talk about John Ellis yet?
No.
Okay. So I will wax equally poetic. Listen, mental health, all those things, they're real. And when someone you care about is going through something, check on them, have conversations with them, and help them work through stuff to get back to where they are. And to that end, I am very, very proud and very, very excited that we got John Ellis back in the coaching profession, and he's going to be coaching the jumps at Virginia Tech. And the ACC has a giant problem coming, because that young man can coach. He is a person of high integrity and quality human. And whatever parents send their young people to be guided by him, they will get them back as better humans and better jumpers. What you got, you? Because we got a whole. Listen, this is me.
Well, I got another one.
This is my impersonation of me watching the coaching carousel.
Right.
Because people ain't even moving close to where they used to be.
Right. And y'all will have the bigger ones, but this is a smaller school, right, that I want to make sure gets out there, because every now and then you know, if you're in a position to help people with their careers, you should, in my opinion. So me being in this chair, and you know, I've always taken helping people move forward in the profession seriously. I had a plan in place, and I'm really excited that it worked even faster than I hoped it would work. Sad to say that moving forward we will be without Mr. David Verberg, but Mr. David Verberg has accepted a position as associate head coach at New Mexico State University, and that
Wow.
Dang.
that is dope. And
Wow.
That is
so here for it.
super dope. That's awesome.
Congrats, my guy. I can't wait to see what you do with that opportunity.
That is tremendous news. Hey, see, look at there. Stories can even be broken to people on the panel.
Right. I was holding that one for y'all.
That was well done. That was well done.
Well, we had Adrian Mann announced at UNLV.
Welcome to the Mountain West, my guy.
Yes, sir.
It was
making everybody's
quietly,
jobs harder. Don't really
Yeah,
appreciate
right?
that, but you know, we gotta do what we gotta do.
you know, whatever. Quietly exposed that Devin West is now at Tennessee.
Listen, I'm not even being funny about this. I'm being so serious about this. I like Devin. Devin West needs to be on the stage at the convention giving a symposium of how to get hired. Because
What really needs to be on your resume?
He is one of one. There is no one who is better at landing on his feet than Devin West. It is a skill. It is a skill that a shit ton of people in our profession do not have. So get that man on the stage.
Seriously.
I mean, that's real talk there.
Mm-hmm.
Did we do Lane at Louisiana Lafayette? I'm just trying to make sure we caught up to the older ones that we knew we couldn't say.
No, we haven't done that. No, we haven't done that. No.
I'll let you do that one, Chewy.
Well,
you kind of said it.
I know. That's what I'm like. I'm just going to repeat what you just said. Lane Fletcher's at Louisiana Lafayette, not Lafayette,
Lafayette.
Yep. And then Hassan Stamps got a new job too. New location.
He's at Fairleigh. No, there you go, Johns Hopkins.
So there's that one. I just got sent a job that will be opening. And well, it's not bad. Georgia Tech. Hinsdale, is that his name?
Grover?
Yeah, is retiring at the end of the season.
Oh wow!
It is officially announced.
Listen.
Wow.
Now I might get all tearful on this one. Like, that's my dude. That's my guy. And there probably aren't 3 people on this planet that work harder than him. And you know, a lot of times, if it didn't happen yesterday, kids don't realize how good it has been. But just go take a look at Georgia Tech's record books in the 400 and know that he coached all but Antonio McKay, and you'll get how good that dude is.
Yeah,
right. Look at the men's 400 and the men's 4x4, and you're like, oh, got it. So he's great.
It's true. Des Bryant is headed to the University of Maryland, which I think is a very, very cool announcement.
That is awesome.
Situation. I think that I'm excited to see that one as well. So congrats to Des. This isn't necessarily coaching carousel, but I just want to say this. I don't know if we said it on the show before or not, but if we missed it, we missed it. I have no idea how excellent of a track and field coach Mr. Hill, big homie, is going to become. I imagine he's going to be elite. However, that man, superstar in the booth. Superstar in the booth. He was so good with the Olympic coverage, so naturally in his element on a microphone. If somebody snatched him from the coaching ranks and just made that a career path for him, it would be well deserved. My guy, you were brilliant.
Yeah, I was blessed enough to secure his phone number and text him to tell him that, you know, kind of face to face. And he's very humble and just wants to be good at it and works really hard. And it's so refreshing because he's so good. And he's not, he's one of those people that won't be pigeonholed because he doesn't just know field events. He doesn't just know throws. Like, he grinds and he has relationships that will allow him to be able to give like real analysis about, you know, distance running and sprinting. And he's good at it, folks. Like, we got another one. There's no diss to anybody else, but like, Otto is different than everybody else. We got another one that is on that path, right? Like, one day could win an Emmy. Like, he's good.
He was that good. He really was. And you can tell when people phone it in. You can tell when people are trying to rely on their own particular personality, right? But when you combine all of that with someone who clearly studied before the test, it was so good. He made me care about athletes that I had no clue I was even trying to watch. Because it's not like he was on the primetime thing, right? It's not like they allowed him to be the big events. Like, you're the new people. You do, you know, the repertoires and you do the morning show, right?
Right.
It was so good. It was so good.
Right.
Up to 35, did you say that you texted him face to face?
He did.
The words like, yeah, those are the words that came out of your mouth, FYI.
But, you know.
I'm sorry. I thought 2 and 2 would be equal. Like, it was a FaceTime call. My bad.
Okay. Texting and FaceTiming are not the same, FYI.
What? Why is it
Okay,
not September?
anyways, so
when are you gonna
moving
stop
on.
taking shots at me?
Moving on. Dartmouth named.
See,
I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, you had jokes and then you said that.
Right, and then you said
And then-
Dartmouth.
Well, and then I'm going to butcher the next one. But
You non-Ivy educated person.
Hell no, I got a great public school education in California.
You said that like your degree is JUCO less.
Yes,
I mean,
for sure.
Mike Nelson has been appointed the director there. And then Towson, Towson University is looking for a sprint hurdle coach.
Ah, okay.
Tremendous.
So those jobs are currently open.
Tremendous.
I know there are a couple D2, D3 schools who are still looking for coaches legitimately. So
who on the Florida State staff are we allowed to say has been hired now?
no, I mean, it's
Florida State
post.
Yeah,
Florida State announced their whole staff, so you can talk about.
I was just making sure, right? Like,
you know, that's
I don't want to get in trouble. Well, congrats to Matt Cain, the new director, and all of his hires. I mean, while we're at it, congrats to Travis Geffert and having hired everyone on the planet. Listen, if you don't know Travis, then you don't understand that guy works really hard, and he just hired a whole bunch of people to try to change, you know, upset the apple cart in the Big 12, and be something that Kansas State have a reach, I'll say, that Kansas State hasn't had thus far. Kansas State has always been good in spots and pockets because Cliff Rivelto and his staff have been amazing. But I believe that they're going to try to grow the footprint, you know, in Manhattan, Kansas. And I think they picked a good guy to try that.
Yeah, all good stuff. I'm sure there's more that we're missing, but I mean,
who just got hired at UCLA? We were just talking about it.
Mecca
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No,
right.
she got hired at USC.
No.
right?
at
Oh no, it was you.
UCLA.
My bad. She went to
Oh.
USC. She went to USC and she got hired at UCLA.
Hmm.
Mecca McGlaston, newest hire on Miss Hayes' staff.
Hmm. I don't know. I'm sure there's more. I mean, there's definitely more, but
I
so
mean,
many
somebody
to go
put about
through.
$12 worth of quarters in the carousel because it's gonna be spinning for a minute.
Yeah, and that's our person, like that's always been our gripe year to year. I mean, every profession has, turnover, right? And in the sports space, that happens all the time. I'm still and will remain blown away by how late our sport seems to think it's okay to fill positions. Like school has started.
Hmm.
We cannot get off the coaching carousel without listen. This is a bombshell in a world that I think nobody that watches the show thinks that we were paying attention to. The fact that Mr. Smith is going to be leaving NAU at the end of this
Yeah.
year to go into the professional ranks is, as the little ones say, that's huge, enormous. And it also tells you in a lot of ways how the
Yes.
landscape is changing.
Yes.
It tells you in a lot of ways like what other things are going to be happening going forward because look, the most decorated cross country coach on the men's side in NCAA history was, I guess, forced to retire, and now Colorado will have new leadership for the first time in more than 3 decades.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The new version of that is Mr. Smith at NAU, and now before he gets long in the tooth and old, and they want to put him out the pasture, he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and take all of this money at the pro level and coach the people I just have in college
Right.
as pros, and probably some of the best people you coach, the best people you coach, and the best people you coach, and he's not even going to move.
I
But isn't that kind of
I'll
what
say
the person before him did? I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head. Who did he fill the shoes of? I can't remember his name.
don't be asking us distance trivia now. That's
Yeah.
not our wheelhouse.
The person he filled the shoes of did similar. And so I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna look it up.
Well, and without knowing Mr. Smith personally at all, I will just simply say that it feels like a sign of the times, much like Nick Saban looking at the landscape of what is to come, like, you know what? I'm good on this. I'm out. When that bombshell dropped, like he's gonna do this year and then he's gonna chuck the deuces. That guy. Like, like arguably the best in the game at what he does. Right? And let's be clear, he had that job for life. It's not like he's on a hot seat, right? The best in the game at what he does. He's looking at this and he's like, you know what? Take my chances in this pro arena because whatever this is, feels like a lot of nonsense I don't necessarily want to deal with.
Well, because think about it. I mean, look at the landscape, right? You just got finished saying he's the best there is, right? And I think I don't even think at this point on the men's side, it's probably not even arguable, right?
Right.
Okay, but NAU's not going. They're not going to go up to 35,
45.
But 35 scholarships, right? So they might have a roster of 45, but who cares? They're not going to spend scholarship money up to 35, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna empty the coffers in NIL money because they can't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in other words, like, and I think the cross country scholarship limits is either 11 or 12.
17 spots.
Right. So at the end of the day, like he might start like losing without. I mean, he might get better and still start losing. Right.
No. That's exactly what I mean by a sign of the times. That these new rules should facilitate a scenario where that guy will start losing through no fault of his own.
Right.
That's madness.
Mm-hmm.
That should never be. Like NAU being a just juggernaut at what they do with an opportunity to win cross-country nationals every year that he decides to, and a top 5 indoor and outdoor team with the model that he has put in place, that's unlikely to be able to hold under these new guidelines, these new stipulations, this new reality.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's
that's
Boise
crazy.
State football, right? Boise State football was a top 10 team, and then NIL came out, and you could pay players, and like, well, we can't do that.
Right.
We can coach players, we can recruit players, right? Like we put dudes in the NFL, but right now the best players in the country, the first question is being asked is how much are you going to pay me?
Yeah.
Right. And so at the end of the day, like, if all you got is great coaching and a resume, like in today's landscape, a lot of kids be like, well, that's cute. I mean, I know you're a good coach and all, but call me when you get your money up.
Just crazy.
It's crazy. But
Yeah.
collegiate sports, they are becoming, they're not all the way there, folks. I'm not doomsday, and I'm just saying, you're crazy if you're not paying attention that collegiate sports are becoming incredibly transactional.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Right? And they're going to start
Eric
with the money
Hines.
question.
Eric Hines is who I was thinking of. Didn't he do the same thing?
Not at this level, but yes, I understand what you mean.
For very different reasons, I would imagine.
Yeah, but sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good. This is
I would say you're the only one that was going to answer that question.
I was digging.
What has happened now is, if you have been able to do the impossible, which is level a playing field at a non-Power 5 school if you've been able to stand in the gaps with your coaching ability, that is no longer even remotely enough. Because now the assumption is going to be somebody as good or comparable to you coaching at a place that has money, that they're throwing it at these athletes, and you're just like, I don't have that. And so you'll still get kids, right? You're gonna have to coach them up even more so than you were before, because now you're going to get the kids that aren't getting offered money. So it's a different class of kid, and when you get them and coach them up and they do a really good job, and you're at a non-Power 5 school, you're probably going to then lose them to the Power 4, since there's no more 5.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's the new landscape and reality that we're talking about. Right. And I get it. Why Mr. Smith is like, this will be a cool little swan song. All my goons are still here except for Nico. We're going to see what we do. And then I'm going to ride on out.
The last dance, if you will.
Get my swoosh on. Right. It's Nike, I think.
I don't think that part was announced, but there's been
a lot of presumptions. Yeah. Well, there seems to be a lot more. We'll keep disclosing, but other than that, I think we've checked all the boxes. So, all right.
One more job.
Kidding.
We forgot about Jamal Barnes to Purdue.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. We did.
I mean, he's a friend of the program, so we'll hear about it if we don't.
Friend of the program for sure. And this is something personally that's another super interesting one from this cycle, because JB was announced he's going to Purdue to assist in the sprints, where most people, especially in recent years, would look at him and understand that he is the jumps guy, right? So there's something to be said about being able to be, what's that? Multi-talented, multifaceted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So congrats, my man. And that's very cool. And we're all, rooting for you and wanting to see what you do with that.
Mm-hmm. So without further ado, thank you everyone for joining us again. We'll see you again next week. Have a good week. Be safe.